Hi, my name's Mark. I'm a golf professional here at Cranbourne Golf Club. As I said in the last video, we're going to start to do a series on putting your grip on, or the importance of the different hands in golf. And the last video was about your right hand. This one's going to be about your left hand. Now, your left hand is your strength hand. It's your brace hand. It's a really important part of the game because we get to hit really hard against that left side. So with your left hand, the left hand is critical in terms of getting some really important factors. Now, from a grip point of view, or from a strength point of view, the golf club should always be gripped in your fingers. It's really important that I get that golf club down in my fingers. I don't want it up in my palm. Really important, in my fingers. And I want this pad of muscle here to be above the golf club. Now, a couple of factors to this. If I want to hit something really hard, and let's say I want to backhand someone, I'm not going to backhand them with my hand this way. I'm actually want to be nice and flat. So essentially, when I want to hit something hard and I want to backhand it, I want this to be nice and flat. Now, if I add my right hand to it, which is my hitting hand, as I come in with my right hand, I want to create force. So I need to have a bend in my right wrist. So at impact, what we're after is I want right wrist to have a bend in it to apply force, but I need the left one to be nice and flat. And we've all probably would have heard the fact that the left wrist must be flat at impact, and it's a critical part to it to get your left wrist flat, and every good player does it. Now, if I match those up though, this right wrist has to have a bend to it, and this one's got to be flat. They don't start that way though. So from a starting point, I need to have a bend in my left wrist to start off with. I've got to have a bend here so that when my right wrist bends and hinges, I get that to be nice and flat. So one of the biggest problems that we see from a coaching point of view is when people put their hands on, they don't create a hinge in their left wrist that's actually flat already. Now, if I try and do this action, I get a bow here on my left wrist, and that's actually really bad for your left elbow. You end up with tennis elbow or golfer's elbow, effectively, and you can't play. So one of the major hassles with most people when they grip the golf club, they grip too much in their palm, and they never get a hinge in their left wrist. So really important, with your left hand, we want it flat at impact. Your right wrist will have a bend to it to apply force. This one has to start with a hinge in it. Has to start with a hinge. You've got to create a bend here so that when it comes back to impact, it's flat. So I'll show you what that means. So with my right hand, I put my right hand on. Right hand always matches the club face. When I add my left hand, I grab it in my fingers and my hand naturally wraps to the other side of the grip, and I create this hinge in my wrist. It's critical to have it. It's really, really, really important. Now, when I slide my right hand down, I keep my right hand matched to the club face. If I then hinge my right wrist, it flattens that left wrist back out. So now I'm in the perfect position to be able to compress the golf ball. So really important, with your right hand, we have to, right hand matches the club face. Left hand though has to have a hinge in it. It must have that hinge. If you don't have it, you can't play really well. You will lose distance all the time. Every good player starts with this hinge in this wrist. Excuse me. Really important to have. So when you put your hands on, make sure you're getting that bend in that left wrist. You've got to have it. If you don't have it, you're never going to be able to hit the ball as far as you want. You can always test it when you put your right hand on. Your right hand always matches the club face. Do a waggle. If I do this, that should be now flat. Right wrist has got the bend to it, club's in the right spot, but this is now flat. From here, effectively, all I do is turn my body and I'm back to 90 degrees, being able to compress the ball. So your left wrist is really important to have that bend in it. And from a swing point of view, if you can get that, you can start hitting the ball further. And it's always nice to be able to hit the ball further.